So I used to repossess people's cars. So
Yes.
bongapatali.
Thing.
Yeah.
How do ATMs actually make money? Because you're saying an ATM is profitable.
On Sasa days, I'm making the money, guy.
Yes.
I'm making the money. So you are expecting me to sit and look for a job for you. Nah, I must now. Okay. And so the other thing that we discovered, obviously, in terms of when these bombings are happening and they do actually, walk away with the cash. And
how long did it take you to finish your degree?
It took about 8 years.
8 years.
One of the biggest scams that we have of our customers is the
WARMKOP. All right, ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, we back yet again with another installment of WARMKOP. It is still your boy Tsepo from there, and today we have a special guest. As always, guys, please remember, like, share, subscribe. We back with another episode, and today we have Penny Xolisile. Some of you know her as Penny.
It's Xolisile.
Oh, sorry, Penny Xolisile. Apologies. Some of you know her as Penny Xolisile or Penzola. Guys, allow me to welcome a special guest. She's going to be running us through her journey to where she got to where today, and also her as a broadcaster as well, or podcaster, should I say?
Yeah.
Ma'am, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine. I've just had a very. I'm a bit frazzled because I've just had a very hectic morning. Yeah, so there's a lot to do today, and I just had to. I'm trying to fit in everything, but I'm good otherwise, and I'm happy to be here and spend some time with the crew.
Definitely, and we'll make sure to keep to time, and we want to adhere to, because we appreciate your time, though. No. Ma'am, please tell us, how did your journey start? Where did your journey actually begin?
So before I tell you what I studied, I think let's understand the fact that as a girl growing up as Zola, the goal was to finish matric. And then you were told the sky's your limit, and that was the goal. And when I did finish matric, the idea was to find a job because there was no plans of me going to varsity. And I mean, if I'd known that there were things like NSFAS or study aids, I probably would have gone that route. But I mean, again, knowledge is power. So that's not what we had at the time. So then I stayed home for a while. I think I stayed home for a while, struggling to find a job for about 2 years. And I remember my grandmother was someone very close to me. So after I finished matric, every church member, every neighbor, when she speaks to them, she'd ask them to find a job for me. And it did. I mean, she was really proud. Firstly, about the fact that I passed matric. But I think fast forward in 2003 when she passed, I still hadn't found a job. And Stru's Bob, that the week just a few days before her funeral, I got a call from a friend of mine that I used to go to school with, and then she's like, "No, she hears they're looking for call center agents in Bryanston, at the campus, and so I must just call this number. This is a recruitment agency and whatever." And I took it, and I phoned and I went for an interview. It was an American outsourced call center, and they were recruiting in bulk, basically. As long as you could speak English, you were good.
You were good,
and then I got the opportunity, and I worked for Emmanuel's, but I was a temp at Emmanuel's, but working in that call center. And that was the career. That's when it started. Call center was the thing. Getting paid. You're able to buy groceries for your mom and stuff. But when I realized that I needed to do something, or rather I needed to be more focused on my career, is when 8 months down the line, after taking calls at the call center, I got an opportunity to be interviewed for a team leader role. And when I got that role, I realized with time, man, and this is not the end, because now I have an opportunity to be a leader, and at a young age, it is quite daunting. But the fact that someone saw an opportunity, and then I think it is at that time that I then decided I need to then focus on my career, what's next. And that's when I decided to register and pay for my own studies. And I studied through UNISA. Now, choosing the course at UNISA was a bit of I didn't know what I wanted to study. And somehow, because I thought I was a people's person, I can fit in. when I'm in the burbs, I can
You can
do the
adapt to
twang, you know.
situations, yes.
So I thought, I'm umuntu wabantu, grand sharp, yabo?
Sharp.
So then I decided HR was the thing, because human resources,
Yeah.
not understanding exactly what that is. But hey, man, I registered for a degree in a BCom degree in human resources.
Yes.
Understanding that I'm working and I'm studying. There's 12 modules you do in a year, and I could probably do like 2 modules per semester. So you can imagine how long that
Balancing
took.
both
Balancing both
avenues,
work
yes.
and studying.
Yes.
But yeah, and then I continued, grew in the call center environment, moving from the team leader to being a to be a trainer, because I mean, I do like the sound of my voice, and I thought I had the influence. So
Yes.
so training was just it was the next step for me, and training new recruits. I could
Yes.
see myself in the people I was training when I started the journey at the call center. And then yeah, and then did the training, enjoyed it, but a lot of people started moving out. So one of my friends then moved to work for this recruitment agency, which was Emmanuel's. And I think after a year or two, then she gave me a call and said, listen, we are looking for an account exec at Emmanuel's, but this person we're looking for is a person that's going to be based at this client, and we want you because you've worked for this client and
Yes.
you have a relationship. I said,
As
how
you
much?
said, you've always been like a people's
Right.
person.
So I said, how much, guy? And
Yeah.
because now I'm thinking, I'm still staying at home, and obviously, you know, as you now are starting to be independent, your parents start to not be your favorite people. So I was pretty much determined that the next job must allow me to be able to rent my own place. So when that opportunity came at Emmanuel's, so they told me how much. I was like, great, you know, went for a coffee session or interview, and I think the interviews are not always about what you can do. They're always about what is your potential.
Okay.
And what
are you willing to do?
Yeah, and
Yes.
also will you fit in the environment? Because we can teach you 1 + 1 is 2, but we can't
But you
teach you the
fit in this
EQ. We
mold.
can't teach you the interpersonal skills. So Emmanuel's, it was great. It was a good gig, and a funny story I always tell with the Emmanuel story is the level of confidence in any engagement that you have. I remember when they interviewed me, they asked me if I had a car, because the account exec role, you must have a car.
Yes.
And I confidently said yes, but I didn't, because I wanted the job, guys.
Yes,
you know,
yes, yes,
and,
yes, yes.
and back in the day, you could buy a car with the offer letter. They didn't need. They didn't need a
appointment
3 months banking statement to
Nah.
show whether you're earning. I had an offer letter. I went to a dealership. I said, listen, here's how much I'm going to be earning from this month.
X amount, yes.
And I bought the car.
Nice.
And when I joined the Emmanuel's, I had a car.
Yes.
So I wasn't lying. I had a car.
That's what it.
You know, so
Yes.
so then I did a good stint at Emmanuel's, and I was just the recruiter. So the experience of the call center and being a recruiter, as well as manage about 400 agents in a big call center, was obviously the next best thing, because I'm familiar with call center, but now really learning the HR stuff. So now the degree is starting to come into play.
Yeah.
The
It's beginning to
ER,
work.
there's a lot of disciplinaries. People, I mean,
Yes.
it's a 24/7 call center. So yeah, people go out drinking on a Saturday and they don't pitch for work on Sunday. And you must discipline them,
Yeah.
right? So that whole HR experience started happening. I started to practice it.
Yeah.
And then I was still doing it. I hadn't finished. And then I moved from that account, and I moved from that particular client. I went into another client in the banking sector,
Yes.
and doing the same job. And then started building the relationships with my stakeholders and the people I support. When I fell pregnant in 2010 with my son, it was a complicated pregnancy, and I think the doctor booked me off quite early. And then while I was home and I had given birth, I actually said to my husband, maybe I should just take a break and really focus on having this child, because I do think I had my first child quite late, intentionally so.
Yes.
And then my husband said, it's fine, you can sit, look after our son. Again, the next step of my career was to be influenced by the relationships, which is a critical skill when you're trying to build a career. because I got we still had Blackberries at the time. I got a BBM from this person at the client, which was in the banking sector.
Yes, ma'am.
And she said to me, hey, Chomi, send me your CV. I'm sitting in a meeting here and they're talking about looking for an HR consultant. And I told them I know someone that can do the job.
Yes.
Sent the CV and then, you know, and then I got an opportunity. We interviewed there. And then, yeah, and that journey in the banking sector started to
take fruition, to take like more. It was building its momentum now to where you are today.
Correct.
Yes.
So that's when it really started for me. But I think the relationship, but also just turning what is presented in front of you to
what it needs
to be.
Yes.
So in answering your question, really there was no clear plan.
Yeah.
There was no clear plan because you just go with the flow. You know, you make lemonade from lemons that you are given at the time. So
yes.
So and the career journey in this organization
in the banking space
has been phenomenal.
Yes.
Because I started as an HR consultant. And then I think I finally finished my degree 2 years after I joined this bank.
Yes.
And
Wait, how long did it take you to finish your degree?
it took about 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
And you were still employable with the degree. That degree meant something to somebody else. They didn't care how long it was that you finished.
So let me tell you something that I've and that's actually a good question. Something that I've discovered. Studying towards on a CV looks way better than I don't have a degree. So I didn't have a degree, but the fact that I am studying towards.
And you had it in your
I had it in my
CV.
CV.
Yes.
I'm a girl with a vision here. I'm studying versus just metric. So the power in your intention is what potential employers see. And this is what I always say to people that come to me and say, but how did you manage to be hired while you were studying? Because the intention was there. It was there.
And you're giving the bank a chance to actually align themselves with your story.
Correct.
To say that we helped you get to this point as well.
Correct. So you not having a degree does not mean you can't get into that job. It just simply means that you have to have intention to get into that job.
Yes.
Right? So that even if you had registered for 2 modules, I put in studying towards when I registered for those first 2 modules. Oksala, I'm registered. I've got a student number.
Yeah, and you built it.
I can give it to you. You know, so
and you built it up.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, but my career at this organization has been such a jungle gym. I mean, those of you that have kids,
yes.
Yeah, we all have kids in the room.
Y'all have kids.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, great. So a jungle gym. If you take your child to a restaurant,
Yes.
Or rather, when you take your partner to a restaurant for the sake of the child goes into a jungle gym.
Yeah.
It's the most amazing place. Because they've got a slide, they've got this thing, a swing, it's colorful.
It's multi-sensory.
Right?
There's sensory overload for them. It's just too much.
So for me, a career at this organization has been a jungle gym and not a ladder.
Yes.
Because I have an honors now in HR, by the way.
Well done.
Well done, Penny.
You continued still. You pressed forward.
Yeah.
Well done.
So, but there can only be one HR director. Guys, I'm not going to wait for someone to die or retire to get to the next level.
Yes.
So if we learn to see our careers as a jungle gym versus a ladder, then you start to see the beauty of
that mindset, that shift.
The beauty of exploring sideways.
Yes.
And when I was in the HR in this organization, I started seeing things that I would be able to change if I were on the other side. And the people I supported in my HR function, you know, I'd have conversations and say, you know, actually, you know me as an HR person, but I've got this other experience that you don't know about. You know, I've got business experience, I've got operations experience. So
yes.
I am thinking about transitioning. And if there's an opportunity, you know, do let me know.
Can I ask though?
Yes.
All right. So basically, your avenues have been a self-intentional like vehicle for yourself. Like you put it out there like and it comes to fruition.
And
yes. So besides your capacity in that organization, right? You're also a keynote speaker, and you're also a podcast host The show is Hot Seat with Penny. Hot Seat with Penny.
Get it right. Hot seat with Penzola.
Sorry, Hot Seat with Penzola. Apologies.
No
Penny
worries.
was Zola, I'm afraid to please. So I want to leave the Penny was Hot Seat with Penzola for last.
Okay.
And I want to touch on you being a keynote speaker because I feel like it's a crazy pivot as well to obviously be in that space you are in your organization,
Yeah.
but also pivot to being a speaker as well. How did that happen?
Look, I think I've always been a speaker,
Yes.
but I always did it one-on-one because of my journey and story of struggling in certain areas, like the norm of finish matric, go to varsity. So people have always asked, how did you get here? Because somehow when that as a little girl you expect that when you finish matric you go to varsity, you get a job, then you get a car, then you get a place, but it doesn't always happen that way. So your ability to shift and redirect the path into getting to the strategy is key. So I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and not formal, but like where friends or people I know to say, no, how do I do this? How do I navigate? And then I realize that there's power in my story. In other words, there's always power in everybody's story. So and this thing started when we started celebrating Women's Day in organizations where you want a speaker, a woman speaker that can inspire the next. Yes. And so then people started saying, do you mind speaking, And this was internal in the organization.
In the organization,
yeah,
yes.
They'd say, no, the finance team is having this. Do you mind sharing your story? The HR team. And then I started, man. There's something here.
There's something.
There's something,
Yeah.
And then I actually started. I did an online course. I went for coaching for voice, because as much as I'm a confident person, I do find sometimes that I struggle with just landing the point and in the articulation.
Vocal
I can see it's
infliction, vocal infliction.
Yeah, so
you
I
play
have
with
to
your
learn
voice.
that.
Yeah.
And because as much as some of the things come naturally, you've got to harness them, and you've got to. So then after I started, so I was booked twice. After that, I was like, man,
there's something here, yeah.
And then that was for free, by the way. But after I did the course and what and the coaching, then when I get booked, I start preparing. Because you're putting in time on what point am I want to what point do I want to land? What do I want people to walk away with? It takes up a lot of preparation.
You create the narrative.
Yes. And then I thought, I know, it's like I can charge for this thing now.
Yeah. I'm at that level now.
Yeah, I'm at that level.
Yeah.
Send me an invoice. Let me send you an invoice. Yeah. But I'm still learning. I don't think I'm the greatest speaker, but I just think that it's something I want to improve on. It's something I want to continue doing.
And then the hot seat with Penzola. How did that come about? Because seeing you, because like we kind of inverse right now, but also seeing you do your thing as well. You're also very intentional with your interviews. You always strive to get to the heart of the person. People come there and they feel like they're having a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And when you mention you getting to where you've gotten, people were at the fore of that. I would think that your show is for people. But what was the motivation for it for you?
So Hot Seat came about as a result of the fact that when I was a little girl, I had dreams of being a radio DJ. And I actually did get an opportunity to co-host with Quincy Kegana on then they called it Radio Metro, and now it's Metro FM.
Nice.
But my mom was like, I know these people are going to destroy my child, and so now can you imagine, so she just thought drugs, she just thought a lot of stuff, and she's like, nah.
And guys were rock stars back then, ne?
Right? And she was right. The industry was, and I was still in high school, so she literally made sure I do not, I'm not near any of that. And like I said, when I finished matric, the idea was about the Benjamins, and I needed to get a job. So the opportunity to explore what you like doing was not there. But now, when I found myself in a space where I can try this thing at my own cost. Because when I thought about going for auditions to be a DJ, hey, bruh, who's paying? If I go against Mang, it makes sense to take somebody that's already established.
Yes.
So then the decision was to say, no, just hire yourself, man. Build your own studio, do your own talk show, and not for fame, not for the money, but for the fulfillment, for the inner fulfillment, right? Because we are in these jobs
Yes.
with the ultimate goal of paying the bills,
Yes.
right? But where is the space of relief, space of
Self-expression.
regulation? For me, that space of hot seat with Penzola is a space of regulation. It's a space of expressing myself. But also, I wanted to create a platform to engage in dialogue that is relevant. Because even when I wanted to be a radio DJ, I didn't want to play music. I can't even mix songs to save my life. But
Conversation.
I wanted to have talk radio.
Yes.
And I remember Radio 2000 then.
Back in the day.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And because now I'm in a financial position to get my equipment, to use my house as a studio, I can do that, but I am fulfilling my dream internally. And yeah.
So what was your wildest episode there? Like,
Yo.
For you.
The sex episode. I had a sex therapist on my show.
We'll put the link in the description.
You gotta watch that.
Yes, we'll put it in.
And the sex therapist demystified a lot of myths about the subject of sex. And I remember I had like a sort of a segment where we were talking about self-satisfaction. We were talking about sex with couples. We were talking about sex therapy. So that for me was interesting. Because having been married for 17 years, is it 17 years? Yeah. So having been married for 17 years, you kind of, at some point, people kind of think they're mature enough to know everything about sex. But we don't. We continuously learning. Exactly. So it was quite informative.
Yes.
But also quite enticing. As I was chatting to her, my husband was standing there and I kept looking at him and I was just like, yeah, no. Who's on you after this, But more than anything, it's just that it gave a platform for women, especially those that I was interviewing, to sort of express conversations that they have in private. Because there's that thing of there's certain things you can say and certain things you can't say. But it was just a platform where we can say, no, but not is Nama fantasies way too, and and somehow there's an assumption. Yeah, there's assumptions with Tina Sizwangani, Nina leader. No, Nati.
We have things we'd like to execute.
Yes. So that was the one. But I do have another one where which also sort of wasn't really the wildest, but one that was quite touching for me, where we're talking about raising children with learning difficulties. And I think, and I think for me that was relevant and touching because as mothers especially, we always blame ourselves.
That was our first video.
That was our first video.
On WARMKOP, funny, no?
Yeah, that was the literal first video.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, you see the alignment here.
Yeah, there is alignment.
Yeah. So as mothers, we tend to blame ourselves for how our kids turn out, especially if it's a medical condition or anything. It's got nothing to do with you. You've just got to, you have a child, it's not special needs. You have a child that's differently abled. That's how I put it. And you, as a parent, it's how you show up for that child. That makes the difference, because there's nothing wrong with that child. It's just that he doesn't learn in the way that other kids learn.
Yes.
Or doesn't learn in the way that most kids learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in essence, sorry to cut you off, it's already like, it's a system. We all live in a system where you need to go to school, go to work, and this is different. You can do something different. Like
you can do something
how people
different.
play soccer and do different things. So,
exactly. Which is why I say you this thing of an example as a girl the thing is you've got to go to school, pass, get a job, then get married, and then have kids. When it happens the other way, when you have kids before getting married, it's stored, right? Or if you stay with a guy without being married, I know this guy, I mean, you know, so we've got to shift that. We've got to shift that. If my child is old enough, has their own money enough to do what they need to do, I don't want to build a framework that's not sustainable.
Yes.
And I think as society, that's what we do. We build these frameworks, and then when we are raising our kids and my son asks me, but why? I don't have an answer.
Because all you've ever known is the framework.
Firstly, I would never ask why.
Yeah.
I just did. So, but he at least has an ability to ask why.
Yeah.
And then he catches me out. So, yeah.
Speaking of the structure, so we've seen parts of the story to where you got to where today. I think what I'd like to ask is like, were there any specific highlights, maybe things you'd want to tell us of the journey? So maybe it can be you as a speaker, you as the host, or in the organization, because I feel like there's so much to touch on there.
Yeah.
And also respecting the story and giving the story like a structure.
Look, I just think that my entire story is a highlight.
Yeah.
Regardless of of what I experienced. I am here because of my experiences, and those experiences were meant to be on my road, right? So the ability to identify at an early age that I need to be the driver of this career.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people sit and wait for someone to say, oh, shame, but she needs a job. What was that do? No one's going to do that.
You took hold of your narrative.
I took hold of my narrative.
Yes.
The ability to sell yourself. No,
yeah.
But can I tell you Guti, where the shift is? The ability to sell yourself, the ability to tell your story, right? So someone always said to me, with someone that can give you an opportunity now, and they ask you, so what do you do? Can you really tell the person, it's like a few seconds.
Yeah,
can you really say, but I look after this, that, and that, and that, to do this, that, and that, and that. Yeah, you understand? So you've got to always know what your story is at any point in your life to say, if I met the CEO of my organization in the lift and they asked me, what do you do? I need to be able to say, I look after this portion of the business and manage this, that, and that, and this is how this portion contributes to the overall group. He needs to know how I impact him. He doesn't care how I impact my boss, but he wants to know why do I pay you?
Why are you here?
Why are you here? So tell him what you do for the entire group.
The greater good, yes.
So, and it takes a while. You've got to write that down. And this is what I always say when somebody says to me, Penny, kikupa mereko tu, yabo. So you are expecting me to sit and look for a job for you, and then you understand? So and the reason I'm saying this is, if you want me to help you, look in my structure, see what's available, see what skills I need, and send me the CV and say, listen, I see you advertise a role in your structure. Here's my CV. I think I can do that job. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you must be intentional about you wanting to find a job.
I must now, okay, come on.
Yeah. But people are scared as well, because like the situation with like your Trump and like what's happening with like relations with us and the world, people are fearing, maybe are we getting to a point where we're gonna not have jobs? Like there is an air of like, I mean, it's still fresh. The year's still very, very new, but there is an air of like, like where are things going? So in that, like, and I think maybe just to pair it with your story as well, there's a strong hyper optimism from you that there hasn't been a tale you've shared now where I sense any kind of like, reservations. So like,
look, reservations are there always. It's around because even in countries or places where the unemployment rate is low, it doesn't mean that those people are in jobs that they want. I mean, I remember my husband and I were in New York for a while, and every restaurant we went to and every place we went to, there were job ads everywhere. Literally, if I decided I'm moving, I could be a waiter tomorrow.
you'd
get a
jump
job.
in. Yes.
So even in those situations, it doesn't mean that the jobs that are available are the jobs that people want. The job, to get to the job you want, there's a lot of work you've got to do, and you've got to be very clear. However, I've always been intentional around not doing the same job. So I did the HR role. From HR, I moved into managing vehicle finance collections. So I used to repossess people's cars. So
Yes.
and that was interesting.
Yeah.
I got to learn about credit risk. I got to deal with industry bodies, the regulators within the banking sector, right?
Yes. Today, you can't give a person a car like you got just with an appointment letter.
Yeah, that's another conversation. We've definitely influenced that, but and then after I moved from managing a collections business, I moved into when big data analytics became a thing. It became a buzzword, you know. If you wanted to sound smart, you needed to say big data. And I intentionally applied for a role of product management in big data. And one of the questions they asked me in the interview was, but you don't have any data experience, so why you? Why should we hire you?
Yes.
And I can tell, my answer was, most of the solutions that the big data team does are for business. My role in this team will to ensure whether the solutions can be implemented in a business environment. So you need somebody like that in this team, because your solutions don't always work. That is why we constantly fight with business. You fight with business because when you come to business and say, we want to implement this, I, for one, have debated with you. I've pushed back on most of the projects you wanted to land.
Yes.
Because they're disturbing my operations. So if you have me here, we can refine those things and make sure that we go with the proper solution to business. And I got the job.
It's about ATMs.
Okay.
How do you decide where to put an ATM? Since you're talking big data, is it numbers or people, political? Like, what would be the decision?
It's a good question, because I mean I am running ATMs at this point.
Yes.
I mean, not in a day that I think I was gonna run the business of ATMs, but nevertheless we're here. So yes, the placements are strategic, and they are based on data, right? So be it physical data that we've got it within the organization, or be it data in terms of knowledge. For instance, if we know, if you look at the West Rand area, it was once a big farm and there was nothing. And for many years, when we moved in there, I think we moved in there in 2010 when my son was born.
Yes.
But there was this huge land next to where we were staying. We knew from then that there was going to be this big retail store that was going to be built. And so the developers kind of started buying the land there. So everybody else positioned themselves with the knowledge of, and today, yes, the retail store is there and it's buzzing. You know, there's restaurants. So if I can literally walk to have fun. I don't need to drive out.
Yes.
So it's many data points that we use to place these ATMs. And even when we remove them as well, right? Yes. So one of our biggest challenges today is that they get bombed. Listen, they get bombed, right? And once it's bombed, I then need to make a decision. Do I go back to the site and put another ATM of $500,000,
or just move,
and not go back?
Yeah.
But the transaction volumes and the profitability of that device, if the numbers make sense, I'm going back. And I'll go back with the camera. I'll go back with roller shutters. I'll go back with the cage.
Boom-proof.
I understand.
Just
because it's going to pay itself. It's going to pay itself. So data becomes critical in any industry. And also, if you look at places, holiday places like your Canton-on-Sea, your Platins Bay, it's busy. And I know that ATM between Jan to October, I'm not going to make money there. But November,
December, a bit
pumping.
Of yes.
Pumping.
Another follow-up on that one. Now, because you mentioned sometimes it's profitable, sometimes due to the dangers of bombings and all.
Correct, yeah.
Since we've been talking about fourth industrial revolution here in South Africa, all these things, why wouldn't we move to strictly cashless society, like no cash at all? And maybe that would be safe for everybody.
You're a big dreamer, eh? You're a big dreamer, this guy. Look, I think in Europe or Asia, that could probably happen, but not in Africa. So I think South Africa and Africa as a whole is very dynamic. I can tell you now, in this area here,
yes,
I have ATMs that are not profitable. I'm just there because I want to make sure that the people in this area are happy. But they're not profitable. But I can tell you now, in Lusikisiki, in Inanda or Ilanga, wherever, on Sasa days, I'm making the money, guy.
Yes.
I'm making the money.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
How do ATMs actually make money? Because you're saying an ATM is profitable. No, like I'm asking for like the layman out there. If you are able to share that information, I'm just curious. If there's a way for you to maybe or not.
Yeah. So there are definite regulations. I know that we're currently dealing with the 200 Rand note regulations, in terms of how many 200 notes you could have in the device.
Yes.
But also the thing about how it makes money.
Yes.
It's so there are ATMs that are owned by the bank, and there are ATMs that the banks share, which we call white labeling. So we share this device.
Yeah.
If every other bank user uses it, and the fees remain the same. But also there's franchise contracts that we have with the likes of like the ATMs you see at garages, ATMs you see at retail stores. So there are many commercial models that are currently being used to make this to make this business profitable.
Yes.
I mean, if you draw money at my ATM, I charge you, guy. I charge you. It's done. It's simple.
Okay.
Yes.
So
first of all, I charge you for the card you are using. Before you even get to my ATM, and then I charge you for using for using the ATM.
My machine, yes.
Yeah, because the cost of cash also, remember, there's also a relationship with the cash in transit guys, and they're also experiencing a lot of heists and stuff. And the insurance of carrying that cash is quite a bit. So whilst going back to your question around cashless, whilst in certain areas we can reduce cash as much as we can,
yes,
but reducing cash in the country, it's impossible. For as long as the levels of social, economic challenges that we've got, where I have to sit and wait for 350 a month or whatever the SASA is, chances are I owe my friend because I'm taking food on credit.
Yes.
So I have to take that cash out.
Physical cash, yes.
Physical cash to go pay my friend.
Yes.
Then from tomorrow I start again the credit.
The credit goes past.
Yeah. So there are social dynamic challenges that are linked to the whole concept of cash.
Yes.
But in Europe, it's in Asia, it's happening. They're slowly getting there, but it doesn't mean that as a country we are not striving to that. Because the less cash, the less cost and the less danger. Because if there are no CIT cars to bomb and kill people, then
there's less crime.
Although the crime, no, there's no less crime. They'll move to something else.
The lowest pivot.
Yeah.
My last one. Okay, tell us something about ATMs that would surprise all of us, at least. Something that we wouldn't know about.
High level. You saw you just did it now. It was high level, wasn't too much like
surprise
confirmation.
You guys.
It's something we don't know. Well, not security type, but just
yes.
Sure. Hey man, your questions are hard. Interesting.
You can't say it without infringing on important information.
Not even. Hey, I'm really trying to be honest here. It's not even. I don't think the security issues there.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think. Maybe the difficulty is, when you're not, I'm in it, so I don't know what's interesting.
I get it.
Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. But I mean, it is a complex business. And so the other thing that we discovered, obviously, in terms of when these bombings are happening and they do actually, walk away with the cash, some of them go to the parking, the parking at a mall. They go to a parking lot. They put the 200 Rand in there, and then they get the real cash.
Oh, you deposit the
Yeah,
fake
so
one.
so you deposit because those machines, the parking machines, don't pick up. They don't have
genuine
they don't have
nature.
that laser. What do they call
Oh.
it? The thing that
The laser that used to check
So you
the
put in the
fake
200, you get the 190, but the
Yes.
190 is real. Then you go again to another mall. Then you
Same thing again.
Yeah, but at least you got some real money. But you're just paying 10 rand to swap out. They're not real, you know. So those are the
But
those.
that should be easy to get them arrested if there's cameras.
There's cameras, yeah, to track the person.
Look, but someone so obviously someone has to initiate that. So if the person that's doing the cash up in the device and they notice, then they obviously might tell security. So that's
and it's debatable.
It's
It's
debatable.
not my one. It's
debate. If we're here together at the same time, you know.
But wouldn't you track the actual transaction or mara o kentse 200 o I kenya 200?
That's something body mall or something about you know.
Hire me. It's forensic.
Yeah, look, but after, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a very interesting business for me. Like I said earlier, I went into data. Then from there, I became head of technology, right? So where I was managing the messaging platform for the bank, you know, so every email and SMS that the customer was getting, I was managing that technology.
Nice.
So then ATM was the next best thing. You know, I've never done so it's also just seeing them put it together. I mean, the evolution of an entire ATM actually becoming a bank, where previously we had business tellers, you know, so you would come go tlamole, but now we've got devices that can just
do that for
you can deposit that. So it makes banking easier.
Yeah.
And that the idea is to really turn this self-service device into a proper channel and a proper. So, but yeah, it's we don't know what my next role is, but again,
opening up a bank, I don't know.
Hey man, the licensing process is otherwise. Yeah.
Because that's so funny. My next question was really like, what's next for you? What do you feel? Where do you see yourself going? Or anything upcoming you're working on you'd like to maybe share a little bit?
No, look, I do think I've already got too much on my plate. Yeah. Right. So I've got my work, I've got my show that I do.
Yes.
Although I've moved into events now. So there's a concept called unmistakable space with Penzola, and what that means is I'm bringing podcasting and networking into the same space.
Try.
Yeah, well, so we have these conversations live, but also bring relevant people in the room where people can walk away with context, with value, because again, I struggle with networking with titles. The roundtables at conferences and small talk about the rand falling and GDP, I struggle with that.
You want an actual conversation.
I just want an actual conversation over a drink. And then I discover later, no matter when I click one cash, as you see, you know. But the start of the conversation was never the title. You know, these labels, I half the time don't wear them. It's a problem. So
and it kind of levels the conversation. Oh,
because now you're stuck in your brain to say, what am I going to say to this person?
I must come with something.
Yeah, something smart. So that's next. That's going well. Yeah. But I think from a career perspective, definitely enhance the space that I'm in. So recently in Jan, they've added 2 more channels into my portfolio.
Nice.
So it's the ATM is no longer the only channel.
The sole one, yes.
Yeah. So I've got other channels which I am gonna look after, and that's growth. So
awesome.
so it's executive all the way, guys. You know, make the money, you know, live the life, and just remain who you are. Understand what your story is. There is power in everybody's story, and if you don't know what that story is, have a conversation with yourself and understand that story.
It's always about conversation.
Yeah, I talk to myself. Yeah, I really do.
No, thank you. Now I'm good.
You good? All right. Any last words? I think that is
a good. Are you sure you're unhappy about the surprise that I didn't give you?
No. It's just, I don't want to go more and more.
No, you can. I'll give you a chance to ask one more question.
It's about the fraud in ATMs. Like, I know, can you give a tip, something to the ones that you're saying, I mean, they get robbed the same way again and again. Like, how do we get them to learn from?
They get robbed way in terms of
like ATM, maybe it being blocked, something is there. Somebody comes in front and says, "Hey, ngishi card yami," or can't they put something to block the card? Is there maybe new technologies that they are working properly, or
look? I think one of the biggest scams that we have of our customers is that card manipulation thing, right? I mean, as a result, you know, if you put your card in and then it swallows it, and you know, so one of the things is having an ability the tap function, because then you don't insert. So no one can mess around with the tap.
Yes.
And we are rolling those out. So they are there. So that's the one thing. And then the second thing is and I think this is the oldest one. Don't allow anyone to help you. Don't allow anyone to help you at all. You know, right now we have access to YouTube and Google. Google how the damn thing works, you know, or YouTube how it works. But the thing of not of asking someone to help you is also risky. But also, if you're going there and you are not sure how to use it, take someone along, take a friend along that you can stand together and help you. So, but I mean, I think just physically on the device, it's always the card. And if you just tap, then your card is safe. You know, even with the POS machines, I mean, most of our cards tap now because with the POS machines, there's some POS devices that people put something, and then when they swipe your card, it traps the information. So now we just tap Apple Pay, you know, Samsung Pay, whatever.
With your phone.
So with the world becoming more digital,
yes,
there's the risk is still there from a cybersecurity perspective, but you know, from a physical fraud type, it's always
the card. Be mindful of it.
Always the card. So if you remove the card, you'll be safe. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Do you have any other words you'd like to add? How would you motivate like someone watching you, a little girl watching you right now, seeing you and is intrigued by you? What would you tell her?
Yeah, look, I don't want to sound like motivational speaker here, but it's just about breaking down that dream. I just think that sometimes you see somebody there, you already think, oh my God, it's so far-fetched. It's not. It really isn't. If I could take up to 10 years to do a simple 3-year degree, you know, because I could have lost the 10 years without getting the degree. But now the 10 years came with something. So don't underestimate yourself and your abilities, and the willingness to start from the bottom, guys, is key. The thing that you have in your head that now you must start here, that's a problem. That's a blocker on its own. So hence I'm saying, whatever job that comes, you probably a CA, you've got a law degree, and you're specifically looking for a law job, you are going to be stuck for a while. You know, so take whatever that comes. That law journey will find you along
the way.
You know, and I always make an example, but you know those people that ask for a lift?
Yes.
Umuntu ocela lift amile, angimlift me.
You must keep walking.
Yeah, ngimlifta mangahamba ngoba lo usho ukuthi whether the lift comes or not,
I'm going.
That's the person I'm going to help. But mawuzofuna lift umile, ayi ima. You happy? All right, cool. Thanks for having me, guys. I think it was good. We've been trying to have this for a while, for some time. I hope the story was good.
No. Well, thank you for your time. Definitely, we got a few nuggets. Definitely. Yeah. And there you have it, guys. Still your boy Tsepo from there. This is still WARMKOP, and ma'am, thank you again for your time. Thank you for coming. Guys, be sure to check out her channel on YouTube. It's called Hot Seat with Penzola, or Upeni Wasezola. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you said it right.
Link is in the description. Check it out. And as always, thank you, guys. Peace.
Been good.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
WARMKOP.